I'm Ricky.
And I'm Joe, and this is Season 8, Episode 22 of the Beer and Broadband Podcast, slated to come out on November 24th, 2025. This is our Thanksgiving episode, so for those that are in America that celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. For those that don't, then I hope you at least have a good day off. And today we are going to drink something that I think I'll probably drink something similar to on Thanksgiving, which is the Trophy Brewing Milky Way Salted Caramel Sweet Stout, because I'm probably going to drink a stout on Thanksgiving. Drink Trophy Beer is what it says. There is no there's no like copy on here, anything to talk about the tastes in it, but I think sweet salted caramel are the things that we should get. Sounds like a very holiday-ish kind of beer.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm feeling about this one. There's definitely a little bit of saltiness to it. There's definitely those like darker like caramel flavors that come with this style of brewing. And it does have like a little bit of that creaminess. Like it's not, I won't say the description is wrong. I guess maybe all the flavors are a little bit less than I expected. It's not super flavorful.
Yeah.
I almost want it to have some bitterness. I feel like the bitterness or some acidity would really bring out the rest of the flavors.
Or it needs like extra creaminess. Like it needs like more milk sugar in it or something like that.
It needs more of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I guess pick a direction. Like not like we have beer sometimes that I think the problem is they're not picking a direction. Is that they're very strong of a whole bunch of different flavors and they don't necessarily all meld well together. My problem is these do all meld well together, but there's so little of it. It ultimately doesn't really taste that much like a beer. Like it's not watery in the sense of like it's got the mouthfeel of something appropriately a beer, but it is just the flavor profile itself is just a little almost watered down. Like it doesn't have a punch anywhere.
Well, I'm letting it sit on my tongue here while we're talking, and I agree with everything that you're saying. There is something about it that is weak. It's like a missing piece. But I do like when it's sitting on my tongue and it's just kind of sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
I do get a little caramel. I do get some of that like kind of sweet cream kind of flavors to it. It there's a little bit of a saltiness to it, but none of those things are like signaling to me that this beer is a stout that is salted caramel. It's like it's lost some of its stoutiness. That is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's missing the dark chocolate, the other things. All it is caramel and like the sweetness from the caramel, and I don't taste any of the stout.
Yeah, that's maybe a good way to put it. It's like the underlying beer profile just doesn't show up. Like if you blindfolded me, you could convince me this wasn't a stout.
Yeah, I would think this was an ale, and like a not very well hopped ale. It just seems like a sweeter ale. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't have the mouthfeel or the unctuousness or anything like that. Now, having said that, this is not the worst beer I've had.
Yeah, it's not offensive. Like it's not bad. I mean, there's beers that I've had that I take a second sip only because I have to review it for this podcast. Right. Longtime listeners will know we've had some real stinkers on this podcast before. We have. And that's not what this is. But also, I don't think this is a good representation, like, of the flavors it's advertising to be, like the salt and the caramel, like the extra things on top. It's also just not a good representation of a stout.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, though, if someone was like, okay, is this a beer that you would drink again? If I had to choose between an IPA and this, and those are the only two things in the cooler, I definitely would pick this up. If I was at a party or something and I was just looking for a beer to drink, and there wasn't like other options. If I had to choose between this and like a Dragon's Milk or something, I'd pick the Dragon's Milk every day. So this is more of like low mid type beer.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I'd take it one step worse, where my answer would be, how thirsty am I? If I had a reasonable option of just not drinking anything, I would just choose not to drink this.
If I had to drink something, I'm not giving you that option. You have to drink. So you have to pick one of the options.
You're right. If I have to pick, there's a lot of beers I would prefer to like skip out on and have this instead because
Right.
it is not offensive. But like, if you said your options are this lineup of beers and just a bottle of water, I'd probably take the bottle of water. You know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I'm putting a very fictitious scenario there because there's always the option for you to have like something else.
Yeah, I get you. I do think it's accurate to say it's not a bad beer, and that you could certainly do worse. And if you find yourself in a situation where you really want to drink a beer, and you know this is in the options, it's worth a consideration.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
it's not going to make your time worse drinking it. You know, if nothing else, it is an unoffensive way to get alcohol into your body.
And there may be some people that would prefer this because they don't like beer that much, and they don't like the bitterness of like stouts and stuff like that. And so they may like this beer just because it's a little bit more.
Yeah, if you put them in that scenario, if you got to drink something, it's probably better for them. I generally think of more the retail scenario. It's like you've got, or like more like a restaurant, and that's the environment I always put myself in when I ask that question. Is I'm really thirsty. I'm going to be eating some food. I do want to drink something with my food. I have a selection of like 5 or 6 beers. This is on there. What are my odds of picking that as the beer I want? And in that scenario, you know, I don't think it favors too high up there.
No,
but
it doesn't.
I will say, you know, if it was the thing I picked, I would not be upset about it.
Yeah.
I might be disappointed there wasn't something better available, but you know, if this had to be drunk, like my little serving cup, I'm not going to throw this beer out. I'm going to finish my little 6-ounce pour or whatever I have of this.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fine. I'm not going to be angry about it. I'm not going to be making weird faces all podcast. And I'll drink it when it's warm, and I'll evaluate if it's warm, and I won't feel bad about having to do that. This isn't Dale's Triple Pale Ale or whatever it was. That was grass.
Hoppius Maximus or any of those other things.
Exactly. It's none of those beers. But as far as, especially this season, there's some good ones this season.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really hold up to
this
the
is on the lower end of the ones we've had this season.
Yeah. It's
not the worst beer we've had this season, but it's like down there with it's like in the bottom 5. Yeah, I think.
Well, considering we do 16 episodes a season,
closer to 20. This was 22.
Okay, 22. All right. And see, this is how you know I don't listen to the intros, even though he says them every time. I enter because I'm drinking when he's doing the intro, so like I'm focused on other stuff. But okay, yeah, sure. I'll give bottom 5 of 22 plus entries.
Yeah,
that's fair. It's not the worst of the worst. It's not great. When in my mind, when I was like, for some reason, I thought we only did like 16 episodes a season. I was like, in the top third, bottom third, a third might be generous.
Yeah. But
bottom, bottom 4th to 5th, yeah, I'll give it that.
Yeah. It's, there's probably 5 or 6 beers in that category, and it's probably like the best of those,
yeah.
So, unfortunate, but I definitely will have a stout. I have some really good pumpkin stouts downstairs that I made last year, and I still have a bunch left, and so I'm going to be drinking those. And then I have a gingerbread stout, and I'm probably going to have the gingerbread stout on Thanksgiving. Yeah. So, speaking of Thanksgiving, let's talk about it. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays. I hope everyone is going to have a great holiday season. It's that time of the year to start celebrating and enjoying yourself. Even if you don't celebrate any of the holidays that happen during this time of year, just, get out there and have a good time off, relax if you can, and try to be as relaxed and come back after the holiday season as happy as possible. So what are we going to do to celebrate this year? Well, I know that I have to travel back to South Carolina, so I'm not going to get to do my normal thing of decorating right after Thanksgiving, but I will be decorating.
There you go.
Yeah. So that should be a fun time. What are you going to do?
In all honesty, and I don't want this to be a depressing topic, I think I'm going to try and return to normality. I've had a lot of shit happen in the last year that's like kind of upended all the traditions and the general how you're doing stuff. And I'm probably not going to get to do those normal things this year. But I do want to take the time to resolve a bunch of stuff so that maybe next year, kind of as we go into 2026, that back to kind of like normal life.
Yeah. I mean, that's always a good thing. I generally take about a month off at the end of the year. I volunteer for a little bit, and then I do like just some like project stuff. But most of it is spent meditating, exercising, kind of resetting myself to get back to that kind of normalcy that I want to have. And I'll generally keep it up for 6 to 8 months, and then somewhere around August things get a little wonky, and from August till December, I have crazy busy times, or I have like problems or something like that. So I can see that. I mean, your year's been extra this year.
It's been a ride,
yeah,
for sure.
It's been crazy, but I could see that. I could see like I want to just like reset and give myself like a little bit of a time. No big plans, not going like any crazy place or anything like that, but just gonna like take some time to.
Yeah, take some time just to resolve all the things in progress.
Yeah, I can see that. I know that we're gonna do a big holiday thing, and we'll decorate for Christmas. Are you planning on decorating or anything like that?
Probably not this year, but I think also like one of the reasons I don't want to decorate is we're still trying to decide like, are we gonna keep the house or not?
Gotcha.
So like considering we're about to move potentially, I don't know. There's some thoughts because like the house also needs some work. So like I'm just not gonna bother with it this year, but maybe next year. Even if we stay in the same house, like. Because I'm gonna get some stuff repaired if we stay in the house, like the fences and stuff like that. And then I feel like it becomes more of a, since I know I'm gonna stay, I'm willing to do the things like maybe put on permanent lights and the stuff like I really want to do.
Yeah.
Because when I do start decorating, I want to really decorate and not live in this limbo of like I got 2 or 3 decorations and maybe I'll have to throw those out if I move because they don't fit well with the new house and stuff like that.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, man, I got ideas. So we'll definitely be there for you to like help talk through that and set it up if you want to.
There you go.
So aside from just what we're doing to celebrate the holidays, what are we doing during our break that we're going to be out? So I know we already talked about brewing some.
Yeah, we should definitely brew some.
Yeah, we've got plans for the brews from earlier this season that we created with AI that we're going to do.
Yeah.
I also want to get in and I made that spicy ginger beer that we talked about at D&D. And
I definitely want to try that because I've been thinking about trying to make a ginger beer too. So like I could really jump off by taking the recipe you've already gotten and altering it to my taste and stuff like that.
This is about the 4th time that I've made this recipe, and I had the first time I made it, I had a really good run with it, and I was just like, man. How do I emulate that? And I don't know what I did the first time that made it like work so well, but this is better, I think.
Okay.
This is a better recipe. So I want to make some more of that and like spend some more time like kind of doing the stuff to prep for brewing because when it comes around to next summer, I want to have ginger beer.
Yeah.
I'd like to make some more of the limoncello too that we made.
Yeah, the limoncello is really good. Yeah.
I really want to make some more of that because I feel like if I could, I didn't perfect that recipe. And now that I'm getting the ginger beer perfected and I've got my cider pretty much perfected on like how I kind of want it to be, I want to start branching out and doing a couple of other like brews like that. So I think I might make another like a smaller batch Skeeter P. I might make another ginger beer and you could sit and help if you'd like to.
Yeah.
So you can learn how I'm doing it. And then, just get through and have a couple more. I'm trying to do small batch instead of big 5 gallons. Eventually I'll do another 5-gallon batch, but I'm only going to do like one at a time.
Yeah, it's hard to like brew as often as you want and make as many different things as you want in those large batches.
It is.
Because you ultimately have to consume it or find people to give it away to. And like just society as a whole is drinking less. So like, even if you're drinking the same amount you've always been drinking, it's harder to find people to give stuff to. And then they're actually going to drink it, not just throw it away after a couple months or stuff like that.
Right. And I don't want to just give away stuff if it's not like as good as I want it to be.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point now where I know what I'm doing when it comes to brewing. I wouldn't say I'm a master brewer, but I'm,
Yeah, you're certainly proficient. That's a very fair statement. I say that you can brew alcohol, you know what you're doing.
Right. And I want to be able to make some things consistently over and over and over again with a few recipes. And there's some things I don't want to make ever again. But there's some things, man, I really just want to like hone it in so that like when I want to make it, over the next like 10 or 15 years of my life, when I can still like brew pretty proficiently, I can make it, and I can teach my kids how to make it, because they're adults now and they can make their own alcohol, and some of them are interested in that. And then, like kind of give that gift forward. And have those like good recipes written down and like kind of notated and stuff like that. And I'd love to be able to get into like making stuff like whiskey and stuff, but I feel like that's a young man's game. I'm a little bit too old.
Well, I mean, also like local regulations around that are so weird that like it's hard to really get into.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that like I could get a license and stuff like that. There's avenues that you can do those things through. Like you just have to like find the right people to do it. I've read up, researched a little bit about like doing it. I just feel like after learning enough about it that like I think my passion more is really, as much as I love whiskey, I like the craft brewing of lower alcohol content stuff.
It's a much better like reward cycle. You're making something, sure it sits for a little while, but you consume it fairly quickly and you keep a good rotation, that stuff going. Whereas like just the work involved to get a good whiskey production set up and the time it takes, and just not even imagining the money. Like that's the biggest problem in North Carolina, is that once you start getting into liquors, you can get a license, but it has to be with the intent for retail.
Right.
And so they require you to already have like you don't get a license like, okay, you can make like 50 gallons homebrew, because like some states are like that, where like you can apply for like a still license and you can produce like a small amount for home use. In here in North Carolina, it's commercial. So like, where's your commercial brewing space?
You have to get connected to a commercial brewer, and then you can do things like that. There's a brewery that's close by, and I don't want to get into the deep weeds of this, but they do a thing where they'll let you work within a mash bill that you help them make for a small batch of whiskey.
Gotcha,
but it ends up taking like 10 years for it to age, and you get your name on the barrel. And so like, I could get into things like that, but that's 10 years.
That's 10 years, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's not, and you don't really get to do everything. You're just showing up to work in somebody else's thing.
Exactly. It's not the sort of thing that I want to do, and that's just, again, I'll consume the stuff that other people make. And that'll just be my enjoyment of that particular thing. But I'm getting off track. I've got a couple technical things that I want to do over the break too. If I've got enough money to do it, I really want to get a new chassis and make like a home server NAS. I want to take some of the parts that I've got and consolidate them into a NAS at my house, and like have all the creature comforts of having that like in my rack and everything like that, like softer noise levels and stuff like that, and just kind of like take the devices that I have and like consolidate them down into a more efficient kind of thing. I don't know if I'm going to get to do that. And then the other thing I want to do is, my office has become a bit of a catch-all for things, and it's got a lot of stuff in it. It's a little cluttered, but it's not unorganized. I know.
No, I was gonna say it's very organized. For people who have, I don't think we've ever shown your office off.
No,
you've got at least, what is this, 15 or more shelves in here, and those are like more like bookcases, but they've got like better sorting for it. With
they're IKEA
like
Kallax shelves with like dividers and drawers and things like that put into them. So.
Like depending on if these are like single wide or double wide or triple wide, I can't see from where I'm sitting.
They're 4 across and 4 down. So there's 16 shelves, 16 cubbies in each one, and there's 3 of them. So
so easily 40 plus cubbies in this room. Right. It is very well organized.
It's 56 if you count the ones that I have my comic books.
Yeah, see, he already knows the number.
Yeah.
56 different little sorting mechanisms. It's a good setup, but you're right. I think the problem that begets you of when you have enough storage is that things start showing up even once the storage is not where it needs to be anymore.
Right. And I got in this thing of building new magic decks and stuff like that. I learned how to make commander decks and stuff like that. So I want to just get all that stuff kind of cleaned up, put away, remake the stuff. So I'm using all my hard drives to their like best ability, and they're not just like setting in something. So I'm planning on like trying to like consolidate that down, or at least getting the plan for it in place, and then we can talk about it a little bit next year, and we'll see what ends up happening. Like maybe I'll buy a new set of headphones or something like that, and we'll talk about those too. I don't know if I'm going to do too much more of the handheld gaming stuff
Mm-hmm.
over the next year. There's some interesting new things coming out, but it's starting to get more and more expensive. You know, the inflation of those things. There are a few things that I've got my eye on. We might do one or two of those, but I've got like some headphone plans and some music and audio stuff that I think would be a lot of fun. And maybe the CCNA, like we talked about the CCNA and the CCNP and like some other things like that. But AWS certs, CCNA, CCNP, they've all changed significantly since the last time we talked about it. So maybe like do some research into that. And
Well, on that note, I'll have some great research for you because the interest in the local network team I'm on to get a lot of these people who are like software trained, their certifications pop back up. So I'm about to have 2 study groups going, one for CCNA and one for DevNet Associate again.
Okay.
So we'll certainly have some people working on that stuff that we can talk through about their experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll be happy to be part of that if you want me to, since I'm in the area.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and find a couple like senior people. I was gonna approach you about it when I made the rooms next week to maybe sit in there and help answer questions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
because I think I can cover all of the like the software stuff. Like as much as like the scope has changed some, I know all those controllers really well and how those APIs work and stuff like that. But especially the CCNA is it's getting larger and larger, and there's more and more stuff on it because there's not different CCNAs anymore. There's going to be like some wireless questions. I'll be like, we have to tap somebody for that one for you.
Get me or one of the other guys that work on that, Chris. It just all should be. I've got a lot of stuff kind of in my brain to do, and also I need to get my CCIE. So like, I'm going to look at getting a boot camp this year.
Oh, there you go.
And stuff like that. So probably going to be talking a lot more about that sort of content next season.
Yeah, I've at least got to sit down and take some coursework because I need the credits to renew my current certs. I'll be studying something. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I'll be. So something Cisco related will be in my repertoire.
And I might want to get like one of the other certificates, like after I get my focus on my CCIE. So I might start studying like the CISSP or something like that.
Okay, yeah. I've looked at that one a few times.
Yeah. I definitely want to like branch into the security CCNP, so I'm probably going to get that. Just like all those things. So yeah, we've got a lot of plans during the break for professional development and for like personal stuff. So should be a lot of fun, and maybe I'll actually take a stab at one of those video games that I've been meaning to play.
Yeah, see, we'll find some time.
Yeah, so we'll see. I've got a backlog. I've got a huge backlog of video games. And then like I've also got which is our next topic, talking about my new 3D printer. I got the Creatilty K2. So I had the Anycubic Cobra Neo 2, which is like a fairly cheap I don't even think they make it anymore, but it was a cheap at the time like $100 3D printer. And I bought it, and I learned how to make all sorts of things. I made a couple like very interesting things. Most of them were decorations, but like parts to fix things, stuff like that. Sleeves to hold stuff, things like that. A couple of things that would allow me to like. I have a holder that goes under my desk that holds a keyboard to it, and that has worked out pretty well. All those things have been fairly good results of having that other 3D printer, but it wouldn't get hot enough to do like it would do PETG, which is a step up from PLA in terms of toughness and stuff like that, but it really wouldn't do ABS or any of those other things that I'd want to do, and it didn't have an enclosure. So by the time I put an enclosure on it and all these other things, that 3D printer was just taking up massive amounts of space. Plus, if I wanted to control it remotely, I had to use one of my Raspberry Pis to do that. And just I had like a couple of things set up. Now, the Raspberry Pi setup was like really cool. It's called Octoprint. It allowed me to do all sorts of like interesting things with the Neo. But ultimately, it had some drawbacks. And one of the main ones was that it couldn't use multi-filament. So I couldn't like put like say red, blue, white, and green into it and then like print something that had like multiple filaments within it for multiple colors or multiple like filament types, even if it was the same color, to have like different support types and stuff like that. But in the end, getting this one, while it's not as good as like some other ones that are out there, this one allowed me to have at a reasonable price. It was like $600 because I got it on sale. A multi-filament system with that doesn't lock me into, because that's one of the reasons I didn't go with bamboo. I could have gotten bamboo for the same price, and they have like dual nozzles and some other things like that, but they try to lock you into using only their filament.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And their filament is fairly expensive, but on top of that, even though it's good quality filament, sometimes I don't want to use bamboo filament. I want to use other things. So, and also I just don't like that. Like,
yeah,
I bought this thing, I should get to do what
that's
I
just
want.
going back to the problem we have with printers for a really long time.
Right, exactly. So I was like, I'm not buying that, and there are people out there that talk about their bamboo printer and how much they love it and all that other stuff, and I know that, but if anyone ever came to me, and if you guys listen to my stuff or anything like that, and you think the same way, it's closed source, it's not open source in the spirit of open source. And 3D printing has always been about being like open in the spirit of open source. So it is the antithesis of 3D printing. I just would not buy from bamboo if anybody's listening to me. Said my rant. But it was one of the things that I considered, because I wasn't the only person making this decision. My wife was, also. And so I've had a really good experience with my K2. Now, Creatilty is not like as open as like Prusa or some of the other 3D printers, and I may eventually replace this one with one of those other ones, or I may keep this one and like get another one. But one of the reasons I chose this one is it's got a higher rate of success in terms of like reviews and stuff like that. Like people do have said really good things about it. You can add multiples of the filament systems to it, so you could have up to 16 colors that you run through it. So each filament system has 4 colors that it runs through. I only have one. I don't know that I'll ever need the 16 color ones. I'm not doing anything that crazy.
Yeah. But still, it's cool to have the option.
Yeah, it is really cool to have the option. So it's got all this like good stuff about it. I could have spent a little bit more money and gotten the Plus or the Pro version. If I would have gotten either of those, I would have gotten like some extra features like internal heating of the bed and the chamber to keep it at a consistent temperature. The bed already gets heated, but the chamber inside would be heated also, and that would keep it like more consistent. You'd like keep away from cold spots and stuff like that. I just didn't think I needed that for this. If I find that I do, I might like upgrade to something that's like that a little bit more later.
Yeah.
So anyways, I've made some like really interesting things for Halloween and stuff like that. Some other multicolored stuff that I plan on making like some more things that should be like kind of fun later on. But I'm really enjoying it. It's been a fun thing. I've had a couple of failures, but now that I've like kind of learned how the thing works, because it always, like with every 3D printer, you have to do, learning how the software works, learning how it works, learning how the slicing works, learning what settings are kind of best. There's some generic things, and then there's some not generic things. Like generic things like the slower that you go, the generally more successful your prints are going to be. So like you might want to get that 45-minute print done in 45 minutes, but if you're willing to wait an hour and a half, that print is probably going to be better quality, and it is going to have fewer problems.
Yeah.
I printed a whole bunch of organizational stuff for my iPods that I wanted to have like displayed in an area, and that worked out really well. So I'm going to print more of those, and I was able to print 6 of those in like 12 hours using PETG. It would have taken 6 if I'd have printed it at the normal speed, but I printed it at 50% speed, and that like made it so much more efficient in the way that it did things. It made it much less efficient for time. So there's always like a trade-off there.
So I guess like as someone who's not as familiar with 3D printing, what causes that? Is it just the plastics sit better when they have time to kind of maybe cool more as they go around? Or is it more like in the software, it's like, well, if I have longer to do it, I can do it a better way?
So when things, so you're melting plastic and you're putting it down in layers.
Yeah.
Right. When you move fast, it stretches that plastic out more. The slower you go, the more like controlled the head can be. Or that's my understanding of it. I'm still kind of like trying to figure out why that is.
Yeah. But no, that makes sense. I won't say constraints, but it's properties of the material you're using.
Right.
They just benefit from not being under as much stress.
Right. Exactly. And so like if you're doing something that it doesn't matter, or you're like doing something that's like in a PLA or something that's a little bit more forgiving, or you know you've got like some other things like that going on, running it at faster 100% speed is totally fine. And you can get away with things that are less infill and stuff like that. But if you want something to be like a higher quality print, you can like really dial that in.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. You know, again, you're dealing with the material you're working with.
Exactly.
You know?
And knowing the difference between what a PETG needs versus an ABS versus PLA plus. You know, there's a ton of different plastics materials that are out there. I would like to eventually get a 3D printer that has dual nozzles so that I can print the like supports out of a different material. Like I could do PETG and then PLA.
Okay, yeah.
They also have like some washable materials that you can like just kind of rinse off with alcohol and it'll like get rid of it. That's something for the future. You know, I don't know if there'll ever be a mod pack for the K2. One of the things that I don't like about the K2 is it doesn't have an Ethernet port. I really, really thought that it would.
Yeah.
And that bothers me because I'm having to rely on wireless connectivity.
Yeah, which is, if you're going to do remote prints, it's not always the best thing to rely on.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, everything is connected down to the printer. The problem is that it has a camera in it, which is one of the things that I wanted, so I could watch the prints and I could stop them if something happened. And the camera will cut out every now and then because it's wireless, you know, of course. And even though I have like a really high-end wireless network and all this other stuff, it's also a lab, and I mess with things sometimes, and I'll change settings to see what the new ones do. And so every now and then I won't have as good of connectivity, or like I'm out of the house and I'm still trying to connect back to it. So if I had a Ethernet run, I'd have like at least a gigabit's worth of connectivity, and it's only a 480p camera. It's not like it's like this super high res 2K camera or something like that, but it still requires a certain amount of bandwidth, and it loses connectivity often and stuff like that. So I don't love that, but it is nice to be able to watch it. So all that said, I don't have any experience with like Prusa's version of like this type of printer where it's got in an enclosure. FlashForge has one, and I have a friend who has that, but the problem with the FlashForge is it doesn't have any sort of automatic management system for the or it's not an enclosed one. So like you have to put that in a separate like thing to keep it dried, and keeping your filament dry is very important, especially in a place where it's kind of humid. So around here, I've had lots of problems with my filament getting stringy or having like issues or getting like blobby things that are happening because my filament was wet. That's why I originally got that other enclosure, and that really helped a whole lot. So like in the South or any place where it's very humid, you would want to have a filament like dryer that's enclosed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The system that I have keeps it at like the perfect humidity. I didn't even, like, it comes like set up for that. It knows what you put in there, and it says this is what the humidity should be for these filaments. So Bamboo has one that's like that. I think Prusa has one. Anycubic has one. FlashForge doesn't. So while that was a cheaper option and it's supposed to do all right, I didn't want that because it didn't have it's not as well, like, it's as reviewed, but it's not as well liked as some of the other. Like,
that makes sense. I mean, these printers are things that you're going to use a lot, and they're also not exactly cheap. Like, they're not super expensive, but like also, it's an expensive enough purchase. You don't want to be like, oof, to save this $50 or whatever it was. Now I'm just not happy with it, and I have to buy something else that's not cheap if I want to not have this problem anymore.
Yeah, there was about a $300 difference between the two.
That's pretty big for you're going to probably run into at least some prints that are inferior quality because of it.
Right. Well, so it's $300, but you had to buy the kit to create the enclosure because it came with the base, but you had to like put the sides on and everything.
Yeah.
And then like it doesn't have its own. It has a filament management system, and I think you can do 4 filament on that. No, 3 filament, but it all is outside. It's not. There's no like heated chamber or anything like that for the filament. So if you live in a humid area, you have to figure that out on your own. So by the time I spent $100 for a filament dryer that will hold 4 filaments, and I bought the other thing, it ended up being almost the same price. It was like $100 difference.
Yeah.
So that just wasn't worth it to me. The Anycubic was kind of the same way. But I've never used those, and I don't know if they're like good comparatively or not from experience. I only know from like reviews. But this is why I chose this. All right, why are we ranting and rambling about a 3D printer on here? I know there's a lot of people out there that like 3D printers. They're very useful, and so I was kind of like back into the story to like kind of, all right, Ricky, you don't have a 3D printer.
I don't. I also unfortunately don't have a great place to put one because of the ventilation and stuff like that. I've got a sunroom that's not slanted, so like it doesn't actually aerate out very well. But it has been a thought that I've had. I might try and get like a box fan up there to blow it outside of the sunroom or something like that. It's on that list of once my life gets back to normal, I'm gonna need a little project space. I'm gonna want to start doing more stuff, and that sunroom might become. Once it needs some work on it, I gotta like redo the flooring in there and stuff like that. But once it's had its evolution, that could be a really fun space to have some stuff.
If you buy a non-enclosed 3D printer, you definitely want to have like good ventilation and stuff like that, just because it can like be a little bit smelly.
Yeah.
If you're using PLA and PETG, not a big deal. I had the non-enclosed one up here with me, and I'd run prints all the time. It was fine. And I mean, this is about 1,000 square feet up here. I had it in some other rooms. I definitely wouldn't do any sort of resin printing in a non-enclosed, non-ventilated space. I wouldn't even do it with pets around. So that's why I don't use my resin printer.
Yeah.
But I think if you got something like this, and I would suggest skipping the non-enclosed one and buying one, whether you buy a cheaper one that has an enclosure built into it or you buy an enclosure with a cheaper one.
Yeah.
Get you a cheap 3D printer and get an enclosure that goes around it.
Okay.
And I can help you pick those out. Like I kind of
one of the things I have to do is fix the electrical out there. But like once those are done, we'll certainly have a talk because I want to get a brewing setup out there, maybe like a 3D setup out there.
Yeah, and you can put those kind of in the same spot, but I wouldn't put them right beside each other because the brewer is going to create humidity.
Yeah,
and you won't want that all over your filaments.
No, yeah.
I mean, you could feasibly have like a pretty good spot out there in that sunroom for 3D printing, especially if you don't really need to like ventilate one that has like an enclosure too well. I'm specifically talking about PETG, PLA, PLA plus, PETG S, like all those like sorts of things. Well, they give off fumes. Generally, that's trapped inside the thing, and it will like kind of dissipate with the heat. Plus, you can buy air filters that you can just put there. I have like 2 that are really cheap. They're rechargeable, and that pretty much takes care of all that like kind of problem. What I would suggest if you're going to buy a 3D printer is to look at what your budget for it is and see if you can stretch up to something like the Creatilty K2 or something like that and get one of those sorts of things because they come with a lot of benefits. I think Prusa's probably a little bit more in line with like the spirit of 3D printing and everything like that. I think Creatilty has like some good stuff. I wouldn't get a Bamboo Lab one, but you can make that decision on your own. If you decide to get it, they really do very well. The problem with jumping straight to some of these things, though, is you don't really learn how to.
Yeah, that's always my concern of jumping to, like, in any hobby really, into the good stuff, is because you haven't built that foundational knowledge yet. So, like, I don't know. But you know, if you think about it, I did this problem with brewing, right? So I used to brew in like all these all glass vessels and all this stuff, because it is, you know, technically superior, but then you end up going back to the buckets because, like, well, now I know what I'm doing. It's not worth it. There's enough downsides. 3D printing is not like that, but probably what I need to do is, like, our local library does 3D printing.
Yeah,
I need to go, like, practice a bunch there and then build up a little setup for myself.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Either do that or get like one of these like really inexpensive secondhand 3D printers, and like mucky around with it for like 2-3 months. I can teach you how to like get some stuff set up like an octopi and stuff like that if it doesn't have any wireless capability or wired capability, but get like that kind of down, and then like learn how you're doing your slicing and stuff like that, go through a couple of educational videos, and then get yourself the slightly nicer one. But I would suggest, if you do, you get one with an AMS, which is the automatic management system, and get one that has an enclosure, because that makes a huge difference in the quality of your prints.
Okay.
Here we are making plans. I'm trying to convince Ricky to join my nerdiness.
I'll get there. I mean, I was there with you for a real long time. It got a little funky these last couple of years, but we'll get back to it.
Yeah, you'll be back to it. You'll be like, oh, how did I ever live without this? So let's talk about toasty beds after the AWS outage. Did you get a chance to read this article?
No, we didn't. We didn't take the break in between for me to read it.
No, that's okay.
I forgot about it. It's okay. I would have reminded you.
Why don't you take a moment to look at it? Okay. It's not a very long read.
Sure. You tell me your take while I read and inform my take.
I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it. I'm not gonna quite tell you my take on it, but I think you're already gonna know just based off of what we talked about earlier. So there was an outage in AWS like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, where basically they caused like this whole problem across all these services because they had like this DNS outage, and it caused like a whole bunch of issues with things being able to reach back to the service hosts and things like that. It caused all sorts of services to go down. Well, there is this company that makes these heated and cooled pods for sleeping in. It's basically like you have a comforter that has like an air conditioner hose that runs into it, and it'll heat and cool and keep it at a temperature in the bed that makes sure that you are at the ideal temperature for your bed. So, like, you know, there's other companies that make beds that do something similar. They have like a heating element in the bed, and you know, you can tell it that you want it heated. But if you don't have one of those, you can buy one of these things. Now, if I understand correctly about the cost of one of these things, it's around $2,000.
Yeah, it is. I just read that.
Yeah, and they are pricey, but most people that get them really like them, at least up until about 2 weeks ago. And
well, 2 weeks for us right now.
Yeah,
it's a month ago. For
yeah, it'll be over a month ago. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, so it was over a month ago from the time that you are listening to this. But the people that designed this designed it with the one Achilles heel of just about all products that are designed in the world.
See me shake my head. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So this thing that only needs to really be have like a temperature sensor and have like a local logic and stuff like that. I mean, maybe like you could have an API to like something like Home Assistant or something like that, but it should all be local, right? It has mandatory cloud connection. And I don't know if it reverts to heat if it loses cloud connectivity, or if it stays on like a heated setting that was like the last setting that it had.
Yes, what it was is users couldn't adjust their settings, so they were stuck on whatever they were previously.
Right, but it adjusts itself throughout the night. So I don't know if it just like reverts to like whatever the base setting is what I'm saying, or if it like
it kept whatever their settings were.
Okay.
And so it was getting people is stuff like, let's say you had inclined the bed to like be reading, you couldn't decline it to fall asleep.
Well, that isn't the sort of thing these are. These are like a blanket that you put over you, and you put a hose into it, and it's got like this little gadget, and it fits on top of your bed, and then it like heats and cools you overnight.
Yeah, well, they've got mattresses too that incline up and down and stuff like that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's what's $2,000 is the mattress. The mattress starts at $2,000.
Yeah.
So like it's a smart bed, which
Yeah.
is someone who has it's not a smart bed, but it's one of those like adjustable incline, can vibrate and do all this other stuff beds. I get that, but I just have a regular remote.
Yeah.
Crazy enough, can just talk to my bed. The fact that I'm going to take this two directions. First, the fact that it didn't already just have Bluetooth is wild to me.
Yeah.
Because that's what they pushed the update to fix it, was there's now an offline mode that they can Bluetooth talk to your devices, which means your device was Bluetooth enabled. You had Bluetooth and you didn't use it.
Bluetooth and you didn't use it.
Crazy to me. I can get you wanting a cloud component because you could potentially go to like a website or something, or like in adjust settings in a more intense way than just having a remote control. I get that you want maybe an app. Do I get that probably the biggest reason they want the app is because they can mine your data? Absolutely. It's probably them like, we found that people's optimum sleeping temperature is this. You know, I'm sure they're selling marketing data and stuff like that, because that's a big part of mattress sales now. Someone who had to buy a mattress this year, of them talking about like, hey, it's got enough airflow to keep it this temperature and keep it this cool, which is very true, because I foolishly bought a mattress that will keep you cool at night, but then also bought the like pet safe cover for it, and that pet case cover makes it hot, so I've actually like taken it off, and I just don't let the dogs get on the bed anymore, which is such a tall bed that they don't want to go up there anyway. But yeah, it's just like, that wasn't hard.
Yeah.
You could have still had the cloud. I mean, you do still have the cloud component, and you can just let Bluetooth adjust the bed when it needs to adjust the bed, and then you go back and tell the cloud what they did. You can still steal all their data. You can still steal all their data just fine. And because it didn't take them long to release it, it took them like a day or two to patch it out.
Why? But why? Why? So with me forgetting some of the details earlier, still my question is, why?
Why?
Why do you need this? And I don't. I know that they want all the marketing, but it's a $2,000 bed.
Starts at $2,000.
Yeah,
please.
$2,000 plus bed.
Yeah.
The blanket is like that they have is expensive too. Mm-hmm. I think it's like $1,000 or something like that for that setup. It's not cheap. None of it is cheap, and they have like. And I might be conflating the two things, like the blanket and the bed. But they have like all this stuff that's app controlled. You can I run local home network stuff. When my internet is out, all my stuff still runs. All my home automation still runs.
Well, yeah, that was going to be the next thing I was going to hit at. Let's ignore AWS going down. Because I can understand, it's stupid, but I can understand a businessman making an IT decision saying, but truly, how often will our entire infrastructure go down? Okay, sure, maybe. How often do you lose internet at home? All the time.
Yeah, all the time.
You lose it a little bit almost every single night. Because like most people's devices now update, I can check my ISP stuff somewhere between like midnight and 1 a.m. I lose a little connection every night. Every time there's a big storm, even if my power is okay, sometimes the internet gets knocked out and then my bed doesn't work. Come on now.
Yeah, exactly.
And
or like, it starts like, I have it like set to like 60, 70 degrees, like the minute before, but then it like switched because it got a little cold and now it's like at 86 and suddenly the rest of the night I'm hot.
Yeah. It's just wild to me that like we didn't exist in a scenario where we thought there would be any interruption. Yeah. Which I guess maybe there wasn't a big enough interruption until they did lose infrastructure that customers complained, but still, you didn't replace everybody's mattress and stuff to give it Bluetooth, and you're like, there was a product flaw. We've got a new version with Bluetooth. It already had Bluetooth. Yeah, it's not, and your phone has Bluetooth. It's not hard.
Yeah,
they both have Bluetooth.
Not crazy.
There's packages that just do it.
Yeah. Why didn't you do this? I thought it was hilarious. Like,
yeah, it is kind of hilarious. It's just a huge product oversight.
I would never own one of these beds, by the way. Never. Like, why? What is the why?
So I'll give them this. They're very, very useful for people with like certain medical conditions. where like you're very like if you got really bad arthritis and you're very sensitive to certain temperature adjustments and stuff like that. I don't think I know anyone with this brand, but I do know that's why I got a bed that's like adjustable. As I know someone who has
Right, I would own one of the beds like you've got that's adjustable and that you can do things like that. I'd even own one that like has heating if it's local heating. I'm saying I would never want
you want
one of
this
these
one
bed
after what happened.
Just because I know that it's always cloud connected. Like, I mean, it's the same reason that I don't have something like an Amazon Echo or Show or anything like that, like with a camera in my bedroom. I don't want, Jeff Bezos looking at me getting dressed or my wife getting dressed.
It's so important that Amazon knows how many times you roll over at night.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly. They don't need to know all that
fundamental sleep science stuff is happening right now. We're going to build an AI that can roll over 50% less. And that's going to change the bed industry forever.
Yeah, that's going to make it so much. It will make you more comfortable. You'll not have to turn as much. It'll relieve all the pressure points that you have.
I was thinking more they were replacing you with a sleeping robot.
Oh, and you just don't have. They put your consciousness in the sleeping robot.
And not even that. They're just going to kick you out of your house.
Okay.
No, we found a way to maximize sleeping. You can sleep on the couch, and we're going to put the robot in the bed, and we're going to do that to 600,000 people. And
that will make sure that sleep is now optimized.
Yeah,
the dystopia of sleep.
The percentage of people getting a full night's sleep has risen because the robots have replaced you, and that's good for society. The numbers went up. We don't need to talk about the human impact. The number went up. Okay.
Yeah, the number go up, line go up, always good. Okay, so let's take a sip of our warm beer now. I've been sipping it over time. I can tell you it does change.
That's actually quite a bit better warm.
Yeah.
It's still not great.
It gives some of the bitter notes back, which balances it a little bit better.
It brings a lot of the stout flavors just back.
Yes.
Whereas you really couldn't taste like the coffee and I don't know, it's not a sour. I don't know how to describe the flavor. There is almost to me a classic. That's how I know the difference between a stout and a porter.
Yeah.
Is a stout has this kind of warmish sourness. Like not citrus, but in that same vein of like how a citrus is like sour but also sweet. This sort of flavor that's in the stout, and that kind of comes out. It's probably a mixture of like the coffee notes, which are bitter, and the chocolate notes, which are sweet.
Yeah. Just
kind of bumping weird. But you're right. It tastes a lot more like a stout. I'll put it, if it was in the bottom 5 before, I'll put it in the bottom 10 when it's warm.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like it elevates it. It's better warm. If you're going to get this, drink it 50 degrees ish. I think that's about what we've got it here. Somewhere around 50 degrees is probably going to be the optimal drinking temperature for this. So it is a better beer than what we originally thought. Still not the best.
Still not the best. But hey, improvement.
That's true. It is an improvement. All right. So this is the end of season 8 of Beer and Broadband Podcast. So we have made it, ironically, 10 years because our first season lasted for 2.
Yeah.
But we've made it 10 years in. Actually, I think we're at like 11 years. I think I figured it up. It's something like that. I have to go back and check.
We have shaken up how we've done seasons over the years.
But we've now gotten to the point to where we're like, we started back in like 2015, 2014, somewhere around there, and we're, getting on, and we're at the end of like our 8th season, but it's like 10 years in. Man, we've been doing this for a while.
Been doing it for a while.
Yeah, but it's been fun. It's been a fun ride. And we've got some like fun things planned for next year too, I think. So I'm expecting a little bit of talk about Brotato too. There's a new update for Brotato.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, we'll have to like go check that out. Anyways, so I hope that everyone that celebrates the holiday season has a happy holidays. Anyone that's just off and taking time to relax gets all the relaxation that they need. And I hope that when we come back, we'll have all of you with us. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.